Okay, let's get started. Hi, I'm Bill, and welcome to one more video. Recently, I've gotten into some back and forth on cloudy nights with a couple of people that were interested in taking the opportunity to spend an hour with me via Google Meet to find out on how I'm using Tom Palmer's target scheduler. So I thought that I would make a couple of shorter videos and give people an opportunity to get familiar with some of the capabilities as far as how you might go about setting up a project in Target Scheduler. So let's see how this goes. What I have here is this is just N.I.N.A on my desktop. It's got a couple of old profiles, and this is a release candidate. I am not running that in production with my production scopes. I'm running N.I.N.A 3.1 HF2. But I think this version will let us step through a couple things that I wanted to share. You have the Target Scheduler plugin loaded in your instance of N.I.N.A. And I'd also suggest loading the Target Planning plugin. I find it very useful. But let's go back to this screen here. And again, a couple of things. When you're creating projects, project names are kind of arbitrary. So under this profile, let's say I want a project for galaxies. Well, no, let's go emission nebula. So I go a new project, hit so it can edit, and I'll go, and hopefully I spell this nebulae. Who knows? But and typically for me, these are narrowband targets. But this is totally arbitrary how you want to set up your project tree. And then for me, I'm going to want it to be active. I want the minimum altitude where I'm currently imaging. I'm okay at 25 degrees. You can choose what you like. I want a minimum time of 30. I don't have a maximum altitude. I don't use a custom horizon. And I am going to turn image grader off. Image grader, I started using it, and then I stopped using it, and then I started using it. If you start using Target Scheduler, Tom Palmer makes it pretty clear in the documentation the pros and cons of using image grader. And so you can read that for yourself and make your decision. So, this is not for Mosaic. I don't have the image grader enabled, and therefore we can ignore these parameters that would come into play if you enabled image grader. But that's not the purpose of this video. So okay, so we have this here. Let's hit save. So now under my RedCat 51 ASI 2600 profile, I now have a project area for emission nebulas. Now, the other thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need some exposure plans. So what you do is you create a project and then you associate exposure plans. So the first one I'm going to do, we're going to say, we're just going to go the way I do it, HA. This will be HA, and what I tend to do is HA 300 because I'm going to use this for 300 seconds, so we'll change this to 300. acceptable. I generally use, what do I generally use? Astronomical. And then this is something that you could look at here, moon avoidance. I do use moon avoidance. So I'm going to turn that on. And the parameters that I use essentially say I want this target, in a sense, 60 degrees away from the full moon if I'm going to be imaging with this filter. So no relaxation or anything. Again, moon avoidance is something you're going to have to dig into with Target Scheduler and make decisions for you on what is appropriate as far as imaging when the moon is up. And so we're going to save this here. All right, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to take this and we're going to duplicate it, and then we're going to paste it. And so we're going to edit this one. And 300. And again, you're going to want to use the filter names that you've designated for your filters. Again, 300, astronomical, moon avoidance on. So we're going to save that. And now we're going to go back here and we're going to now on this one here, this is going to be my 03. So what I want to do here (300), but this is a no moon. Recently, well, for some time now, I don't image with the 03 filter if the moon is up. So we'll go that here. All right. And astronomical. So now enable, yes, but we're going to change these parameters here. We're going to make this 0 degrees. Going to make this 1. We're going to set this to 8. At least these are the ones that are working for me, the parameters that are working for me when it comes to moon avoidance. And this is the key thing here. Moon must be down to use this filter. Again, you can go through the documentation to understand what these parameters mean and where you might prefer to set them for your imaging needs. All right, so we're going to save that. So now we have that. But now what I want is I want another, and this will be for my stars. When I shoot narrowband, I shoot stars. Red. We're going to put this to 30. I only shoot 30 seconds. We're going to change this to astronomical. We're going to turn this to on. Again, I only want to shoot the stars when the moon is down. Again, my preference, your preference may be different. And then we're going to go to 8. Zero. And moon must be down is on. All right, I save that. And now we go into here. And so, and this will be green. Green 30, astronomical, got the moon avoidance where I want it, save, go back here, and it doesn't really matter, we're going to duplicate it, and this is blue, blue, 30, astronomical. Okay, save. Did I do that right? And now we should have red for 30, green for 30, blue for 30, all with the correct moon avoidance features. 03 for 300 seconds, correct moon avoidance parameters based upon my preferences. Yours may be different. And then here's for my S2, and here's my 03. Okay, so now that we have some basic exposure plans in place, and again, you can continue to add exposure plans. So maybe you're shooting RGB and you only want to go 180 seconds, so you can add an exposure plan for red 180, green 180, and so on. All right, so now emission nebula. So now let's add a target. So I'm going to go into Sky Atlas, and we're going to go SHA-2 240, and we're going to search. And as we see here, it's just coming into view. And so I think we could go over to here. Let me just give me 1 second. So here is SHA-240. I shot this with my ASI 294. As you can see, the sensor size was not a good match for the size of this target. And I put about 26 hours on that target. So I'm actually going to be shooting it again, and let me bring this down and bring this up. Where are we at? This one here. And so let's go up here, and you can see over here that I have narrowband 03 targets and RGB targets, and then I have star targets. But let's go into narrowband, and let's go into 240, and you can see my exposure plan. I have not yet added stars in. Oh, I have a separate category for just stars, but I'm going to show you something a little bit different here. But let's get back to okay, so we now have Sharpless 240. We're going to set it for framing assistant. And there we have it. So it should kind of frame up well. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to here, and we're going to add a project. So hit the plus sign, new target. We have to make it editable. And this download here, we're going to import the coordinates from the framing assistant. And under here, you'll see an option for framing assistant. And it now has brought in the coordinates for that object, and it's put the name of the target in the name box. And so now we want to add our exposure plan. So we're going to need 6. Now we're going to come in here, and so we got HA 300, and let's go up to what I'm going to be shooting. Again, I'm going to be shooting 120 of HA. Okay, so I have that. Now this one I want to change to my S2 120, and this one we're gonna, for the 03 no moon, 120, and then we want start build the exposure plan for our stars. Oh, nope, wrong one. We want red. And I just want 30 of those. So I just need about 15 minutes of each of these. And let me expand this all the way. And then we'll all right, and now we have our HA, S2, O3, no moon, and then we have our stars. And if you recall, the exposure plan for stars, the way my preferences are, is take those stars when there's no moon. Okay, now we're going to save this. And now we're going to come down here and this is can be a topic of conversation. When I am shooting targets that are kind of faint, I tend to dither after the complete sequence. So the way this is going to work, it's going to go HA, then switch to S2. And let me show it this way. It's going to HA, switch filter to S2. Then if the moon is not up, then it will shoot the O3. And then it'll, if the moon's not up, it'll shoot the R, the G, and the B. If the moon is not up, then what we're going to get is HA for one frame, S2 for one frame, and then a dither. And again, that is the way Target Scheduler scheduling engine interprets these plans. So as we see here, here is the sequence, and I'm going to save it. Oh, let me show you here though. So say you want to take two of each. You can do that by doubling. You know, it's really your call. You have the ability. You want to take 3 HA, 5 HA. That's within your control, and you control it through here. So this is the way in adjusting dithering. Now, there are also some global parameters that you can set for how often you dither. I don't use those. I go to the per plan level and make my decisions there. So, but I'm going to get rid of that one, get rid of that one, and get rid of that one, and then I'm going to save this. So now what we have here is we have our first project showing that it's green, it's active. And here's where I use target planning. Again, SHA-240. And then let's just see what the imaging season is. And as you can see in September, that much the way the Sky Atlas gave a depiction of where the object is in its transit, target planning will give you a similar view. And it'll let you know how many hours each night as it transits through the months, it'll be available for imaging. So back to Target Scheduler. That's how you add a project. And then you want to do another one, you just follow the sequence. Now let's just see what if we go into Target Scheduler Preview and we run it. You'll see that Target Scheduler has that project scheduled to run tonight, but it won't start until 55 minutes after midnight, and then it'll image until 5:40 a.m. Again, that's due to the parameters I set. Must be above 25 degrees. If I had set must be above 30 degrees, it would start later. And then if you drill down, you can see what it's actually going to run. It's going to switch to HA, switch to S2, switch to O3 because the moon is not up. It's going to switch to red. It's going to switch to green. It's going to switch to blue, and then it's going to dither. And again, it's going to do the O3 and the red filter, green filter, and blue because the moon is not going to be up during that period of time. And then it's going to go, but let's see what we get down towards the end of the night. Okay, moon is pretty much down. Yeah, the last exposure is going to be just an HA. But that's how you add a project into Target Scheduler. I've been using Target Scheduler for over a year. I started using it as a traveler. And let's just take a look over on, here's what I have set up for my Red Cat 51 down at Starfront. What you can see on the Spaghetti Nebula, it's already captured 14 HA, 13 S2, and 0 new moon, or rather 0 03. Here's one that I'm doing currently. Here's one that is completed when you have reached the goal of what you wanted as far as desired. And there's kind of like a throttle that enables it to go, I think, like take 25% more than what you have set for desired. So there's some fine-tuning things that you can do within Target Scheduler to meet your needs. But what it does is it takes it as far as being no longer active. Now, if I went in here and just for this purposes, I said 80. And I hit save. You see now the project has become active again and can be a candidate for Target Scheduler to schedule. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, I'm going to enable it for consideration, and then you see it's not active anymore. So, and then if we look in, well, let's bring that one down and let's look over here. When setting up a project, you might have seen, is this a mosaic project? And there is a flag when you're setting up your project categories that can let Target Scheduler know whether this is part of a mosaic or not. So there's a lot of great things that you can do with Target Scheduler. It's really easy to use. If anybody is interested in me going over the sequence that I built in N.I.N.A, I'll be happy to do that in a video. It's really straightforward, and it all comes down, what makes it so simplified is you just drop this. Oh, let me bring you over here. What makes the sequence very easy in my mind to deal with is you drop the target scheduler container into your sequence. And where before, if you're doing an advanced sequence, you have to use smart exposures or whatever, you had multiple lines and all that. Dropping this container into your advanced sequence, well, then everything kind of happens behind the scenes. And so if we were to look, I do think I'm going to image tonight. So let's look at what would be scheduled tonight. Okay, so tonight I'm scheduled to, or target scheduler is going to run exposures for M17 panel 4 and M17 panel 1, which is part of a 4-panel mosaic. Then it's going to switch over to M27, the dumbbell nebula, and take some exposures. And then it's going to move on to the Iris nebula, and then it's going to move on to IC 434. So those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different exposure plans that it's going to run tonight. And then again, if we look at, go up to here, and let's just look at panel 4. I'm pretty close on panel 4. Again, I'm taking about 25% more than what I put in the plan, and what you can see for the HAS2 and O3, that's 90% complete, 92% complete, and 98% complete. So again, it's not really complicated. What I really like about it is you can basically have a spreadsheet approach. You can collapse all this. You can have multiple profiles in here, and you can, these are arbitrary naming, so you can name it however you want. You have your exposure plans down here, like if we go here, you see that I have some for 30 seconds. I've got some for 240 seconds on the narrow band, some RGB for 180, more narrow band at 300 seconds, RGB at 300 seconds. I've got a loom at 300 seconds, and a no moon, and I think my loom should be, I only shoot luminous when the moon is down. So again, if you're thinking about moving to N.I.N.A and you think it's hard, because of the advanced sequence that you have to set up and everything, it becomes very simplified in my view using N.I.N.A if you leverage the target scheduler plugin, and you can build very simple sequences, and then just where all the magic happens is really just driven by your project plans over here that have the associated exposure plans. So anyway, I don't know if this is helpful to anybody, but again, I'm available. I'm just an advocate of Tom Palmer's target scheduler because it's added so much value to me. Even when I was not on a pier at Starfront like I am now and have been since the first of the year, even as a traveler, it added a lot of value to me because it enabled me to get the most work out of a night of darkness. Rather than me trying to figure out, okay, how many of this do I want to take tonight, how many of that, and then can I do a second target tonight, or am I just limited to one target? I just basically load my projects into the target management area, and I let the target scheduler manage all those decisions for me, trying to get every last second of darkness, getting value of every last second of darkness. And then as far as tracking how many exposures have you taken, what percent completed your projects, all that information is there. So you've reached what you wanted to gain, but then you look at your data maybe in Pix Insight and you say, I want some more O3 or some more HANS2 as well. Very easy to go in and just edit a project that's been moved to inactive because you have accomplished everything that you wanted, and then put in new values for your additional exposures per filter that you want to capture, and then save that, and then it brings that project active again. Boy, it is, I say I don't like an easy button, but I like this easy button. It takes some work. You have to dig into the documentation, but it's really pretty straightforward. And then over time, as you're using it, you'll probably make some adjustments. I am now building project plans where I used to separate out the stars. I now have just one big exposure plan underneath a target. So anyway, if you want some more information, or you want me to do some more on target scheduler, I'll be happy to do it. If you want to get some of my time at no cost, I'll be happy to share some of my time as well in a one-to-one setting if you want further information. So, all right. Well, wherever you may be in the world, thanks a lot for dropping into the channel, and I hope you're dealing with clear skies whenever you want to go out there and image. Until next time.